Well, welcome. Thanks for coming on the podcast. My name is Chris Bigger. I'm the superintendent at Chambersburg School District. And we're doing these podcasts to pretty much share our One Trojan Community brand, as we hope all schools will become schools of distinction by 2030. So this podcast is an educational exchange to get folks in the community and staff to understand people's jobs, roles, and the impacts of positions. So I have with me today Gabriela Juarez, our homeless coordinator. So welcome, Gabriela.
Thank you.
I hope you're not too nervous about being here.
No, you made me feel very comfortable, so I'm thankful for that.
Good. Well, tell us how long you've been in your job and what you do in general.
So this is actually my 6th year with Chambersburg School District. My first year was a little different. I was partially special education and attendance. So after my first year, I transitioned to CASD. So we have the classroom there with Children's Aid Society. It's a private residential. So I work with the students there partially Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then the other 2 days, Tuesday, Thursday, I'm at the Chambersburg Engagement Center. So I'm working, supporting, the students and families that come through that building.
Gotcha. So tell us the difference in what you do at CAS, the Children's Aid Society, which used to be run by the IU, and now is run by Chambersburg.
Yes.
And then over at the Engagement Center. So tell us what you do similarly or different.
Okay. So it is, well, I guess there are similarities, but in the Children's Aid Society, I get to work one-on-one with students. Mm-hmm. So I do really love that. There's so much trauma happening, so I get to do the one-on-one sessions with them. I work with trying to, connect them to some services that they're able,
right,
to work with outside of the classroom setting, but it's mostly just working with them in the classroom, behaviors that are happening in the classroom, making sure that I'm able to bring in some of the things that they miss out when they are not in a public setting. Yeah. So we schedule college visits. We just did 2 of them this month. We went to Gettysburg and Chambersburg University. We do have another one coming up. So it's, like I said, making sure that they have some of those things that they're missing out because they are in that facility that they can't leave.
You said it's residential, so just share what that is, what that means for the listeners.
Yeah, so the students are placed there through foster care. Some of them are there through probation. So they sleep there. Most of them actually attend our classroom on site.
Gotcha.
So they sleep there, they eat there, they go to school there.
Gotcha.
Some do have the privilege to be able to go out to one of our public buildings or back to their home school if it's within a reasonable distance. So again, it's foster care for them.
Gotcha.
So we have the classroom there, we have teachers there. So we all just work very closely to make sure that they feel supported and welcome in that classroom.
And is that all Chambersburg students or is it the whole county?
It varies because it goes past our county.
Okay.
We have students from Lancaster, York.
Right.
So it can be Chambersburg,
Gotcha.
Franklin County, all over.
Well, so now shift over to the Engagement Center. So what's it like since we've opened it? It's been a year. How has that helped? What do you do there differently than you do over at CAS?
So, in my role, it has tremendously helped me because I also am the McKinney-Vento, the homeless liaison for the district. So it was hard for me to have families show up at a private residential where we are to keep, confidential. It's like who's there and whatnot. So with the Engagement Center, it has opened up so many doors. I'm able to make so many more connections within the community, the storage, to be able to store some of the items that, I'm able to offer to the families. So that Engagement Center really has helped me because I am connecting families to resources. I am working on making sure that, some of those needs that they have are being met, whether it's through the Engagement Center, whether it's connecting them to someone outside in the community. So that has been very helpful.
Tell us, in your 6 years, how many students do you serve in the Engagement Center, or at least in the McKinney-Vento and homeless? Like, what have the numbers been like over the last 5 or 6 years?
So they definitely have been increasing. I can tell you at least now we have 274 students who have been identified as being, McKinney-Vento eligible. Last year there were 298. The year prior to that, slightly under. So they're definitely increasing, and I do foresee us surpassing last year's total because I already have some pending phone calls and things to do. So I can definitely see with what we have left, we're going to surpass.
So what kind of services do you provide then? So someone calls in, indicates they're homeless, they live in the Chambersburg School District or at least in the area. How do you help them? What do you do?
So under the McKinney-Vento law, there are rights for students who are experiencing homelessness. And one of them is making sure that they're enrolled immediately. So with all registration happening at the Engagement Center, we have that close connection with the district registrar. So we're ensuring they're lacking required documentation.
Right.
Unfortunately, you got to process them without those documents. So she's very understanding.
Yeah.
So we make sure that that's happening. Then once we know that they have been McKinney-Vento eligible, then I am notifying the school building. So it is still something that's confidential. The only people that I'm notifying are principal, secretary, counselor, and then the supervisor to transportation, because we do offer transportation for students. So if a student is happens to be in another home zone because they lost the housing where they were out originally, then we ensure that they stay in their home school.
Okay.
So sometimes students end up outside our district. So as long as they meet criteria, we are providing that transportation for them. And then they're also eligible to receive, free breakfast and lunch. But essentially, we want to make sure that our students receive the same extracurricular activities, same education as any other student.
Do you end up channeling them to places that can help in other agencies, and they eventually find permanent residence or some type of structure?
Absolutely. Although some other services, are limited in an area, but working with SCAP, Salvation Army, there are some churches that have stepped up, to support me and the students that I'm working with. So they're able to offer rental assistance. So I've had some students at risk of losing housing, and they've been able to help with the rental assistance so that they don't lose their housing and become homeless.
So out of the 250, 300, how many are there every year, and how many are just transitioning between struggles?
So I want to say, because every year it's a redetermination again.
Right.
So I want to say every year we probably start with about 100 of those students. And some of them, it's hard to say, because when I'm making my phone calls, if they don't call me, then I can't really, redetermine them, even though they may be in the same situation. But at least every year we start with 100.
So a third are reoccurring,
correct.
and 2/3 are coming and going based on need.
Yes, yes.
Interesting. Have you noticed increase in donations and support from the community in recent years, and what do you attribute that to?
I want to say mostly to the Engagement Center, because again, it has opened up so many doors, so many more community members are aware of McKinney-Vento that they weren't before, because it was hard for me when I was at a residential to have the space to store some of the items that I wanted, to support. So I know community members have been forthcoming with donations, monetary donations, gift cards. So all of that has been very supportive this school year for the families and students.
And what do most families want when they come in to look for items of support? What are they looking for in general?
In general, I mean, whether if it's food with gift cards for that house, but essentially just hygiene items. I mean, that besides obviously the housing, then it's food, and then it'd be hygiene items. So that is the biggest thing right now that a lot of families, are struggling with, because sometimes they have to pick between food or hygiene, rent, or food. So it's been very helpful to them.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to go a little bit different direction here. It's interesting, you deal with this every day. How do you manage yourself always seeing struggle and stay positive and optimistic? Like, what keeps you motivated to continue on to do the job?
That's a very good question, because it is hard.
Yeah,
when
sad stories and difficulty and Because
I sit at home, I look around at my house, I look at my children, and I just can't imagine being in that situation. And I think that's what motivates me, because I see what I have, I see where I came from, where I grew up, because I too, struggled. So I think that's what motivates me to ensure that, students like my children aren't struggling, families like mine aren't struggling. So that's my biggest motivator. And I always say I will go that extra mile for a student. My hours vary because no one's homeless from certain time to a certain time. So that's my biggest motivator, just seeing, the faces of those families and students when they receive things like hygiene items.
And you've seen success, like they're grateful.
Absolutely.
They're very appreciative and grateful.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for what you do. We really appreciate you, and thanks for doing the podcast and the interview too. It'll be really helpful.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you.